All right. Good morning, millionaires. Good morning, millionaires. I hope everybody's feeling incredible. My name is Haziq Ali. I'm a revenue acceleration coach. I'm a self-esteem development expert, and I am obsessed with success. Tonight on Obsessed with Success, we having a special training on the Jews, the whole Jewish
You have something
experience.
special. You
Hold
have
up.
greatness in you. Hello, this is Les Brown. And you please enter your.
Hold up.
Thank you. Please announce yourself. All participants are muted. Entry and exit tones are off.
Okay, my man David Ruffin in the house. How you feel, brother? Yeah, so tonight at 5:15 p.m. Eastern, it's going to be a real special edition of Obsessed with Success. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but every Wednesday evening at 5:15 p.m. Eastern, we come together and we talk about the stories, the strategies, and the mindset of all the best to ever do it. So tonight's going to be no exception. But since the Jewish people have been in the news so much lately, I thought this would be a good time for us to kind of cover these seven sorts of like strategies. There's a wild thing about the Jewish people that I'm not sure a lot of people are aware of. Like, do you know that the Jewish people are only like 2% of the population? Were you guys aware of that? They're like 2% of the population, and yet 45%, 50%, 55% of the world's richest people. That's crazy, right? One third of all the millionaires in the United States are from the Jewish population. Is that crazy? 2% of the US, y'all, and yet 25% of all the Nobel Peace Prize winners in United States history, anybody that's ever won from the United, they were all Jewish. And so what we're going to talk about tonight, if somebody could type it in the comments, that'd be real helpful. We're going to talk about these seven keys to the wealth and unity of the Jewish empire. Another way to call this one is how to turn oppression into progression. How to turn oppression into progression. That's going to be tonight's Obsessed with Success. Yeah. My man David Ruffin checking in. Let's get it. Let's get it. What's up, Tanisha? Let's go. My man D Money in the house. Let's get it. Let's get it. Make sure you check in right now. Let them know your city you checking in from, what kind of business you have. This is like a time for you to get free promotion. It's like free promo. Ain't a lot free in this world. Right now, you can get free promo for your business just typing it in the comments. And I'm gonna throw you on the Summer Jam screen. I'm gonna throw you on the big screen. So make sure you let them know where you're from. Also, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Turn on your notifications, baby. Because if there's one thing you've learned from this social media world, is that you better program your channel with intention. You better program your channel with intention, because if you don't have a plan for your life, then you're just going to fall into somebody else's plan. And guess what they got planned for you? Not much. And speaking of that, today's topic, we're talking about what we call millionaire hacks. Like a lot of times we're led to believe that at some point there's a limit to how much we can earn. I believe it's time for us to kick this idea to the curb. I've got a TED Talk coming up this weekend. They refused to air my first TED Talk because they said I was too controversial. They said I was too controversial. So I'm refilming it this weekend. You know what I mean? But one of the reasons that I'm kind of being invited to do this is because I know that anyone can become a millionaire, right? And if you've ever Googled how to become a millionaire, even if you was halfway joking, you're one of the tens of millions of people in this country who dream of being financially independent. And, maybe you're like a bunch of us that are like, hey, I'm not quite sure where to start. I was at that same place. A lot of times we are doubting our ability to break through the barriers. You hear what I'm saying to you? I don't know if you know, But in the early days of becoming financially independent, I am adamant about letting everybody know that the hardest work that I had to do was creating a different mindset. The hardest work that I had to do on my way to becoming a millionaire in my bank account, it was the part where I had to become millionaire minded. Somebody type that in the comments. I am millionaire minded. I am millionaire minded. Learning to quiet that negative voice that's bouncing around in your head, or the voices. If I start counting the people that surround me, boy, if you so smart, you'd be rich already. Anybody got a mama like me? Look at me now, mama, right? But the whole point is what work it takes to be able to block out all of these voices, right? The simple and happy truth, y'all, is that we are all capable of becoming rich in our own way. It is not as daunting as many people are led to believe and raised to believe by parents, preachers, teachers, well-meaning but underachieving friends, right? And the first thing that you got to do is decide that you're going to decide. I always tell people that to make an incision is to cut into, right? To make a decision is to cut away. You're cutting away every other option. You're making a decision that you're going to be a millionaire. You're making a decision you're going to be financially independent. You're making a decision that you're going to take this next 2 years of your life, this next 3 years of your life, this next 5 years of your life, because guess what? The time is going to pass anyway, and you're going to move with intention. You realize you can't even remember the Netflix show you watched last week, unless it was something crazy like this Jeffrey Dahmer joint y'all are obsessed with. And I'm riding with Lil Boosie on that one. I ain't watching that crap. And I think Netflix needs to reimburse or somehow look out for the families of all these victims that are having to relive this crap. But that's a story for another day. My point is, if you have made a decision to be a millionaire, all of a sudden you're going to focus on net worth, not Netflix. You hear what I'm saying to you? So I dare you decide you're going to make a decision. And if you are still here right now, now that I've revealed the topic, then that means this is for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 5 really simple millionaire hacks. I was homeless a few years ago. If I can be a millionaire, anybody can do it. Share this right now with somebody who wants financial independence. Share this right now with someone who wants financial freedom. I dare you, y'all. Share this. You ready? Right now. Let's go. Here's the first one. It's time for you to become the future you. It's time for you to think about the future you. Somebody write that in the comments. I'm thinking about the future me. I'm thinking about the future me. Now, since I just now kind of crapped on Netflix, let me tell you, there is a show on Netflix called Money. It's called About Money. And they go through student loans. They go through all these different levels of money and debt in America. It's an amazing exploration. One of the things that blew my mind about this particular documentary is when they were saying that they would do these seminars and they would have everybody go on an app called FaceTime, I think it's called the FaceTime or something like that, the Face app. And you can look at an older version of yourself. You can put in the app something that shows you what you're going to look like in 20 years. Well, check it out. They said that once people got to know the older version of themselves, they were a much higher percentage likely to take care of the future version of themselves. I'm asking you now that if you're making a decision that you want to be rich, if you're making a decision that you just want to be financially free, because I encourage you, set a goal, but it ain't got to be bigger than it needs to be. You don't have to do that. You can set the goal right where you want it. Check it out. I dare you to start thinking about the future you. The majority of these people live in the now. And I don't mean the now on a mindfulness tip. I'm talking about all these world-changing traumas like the pandemic, like monkeypox, right? I'm talking about it added fuel to this whole vibe that everybody's in of being self-absorbed. I'm talking about in this whole world where you're constantly on edge because you don't know what's going to happen. We call that survival mode. That ain't champion mode. That's survival mode. Check it out. If you want to be a millionaire and you're dead serious about it, one of the first things that I had to do is start thinking about where I want to be in 5 years, where I want to be in 10 years, where I want to be in 20 years. Do you know how many people never think about that? They did this episode in 27. They did this study in 2017, the Future Institute, and they were talking about how a staggering 53% of the respondents didn't think at all about what will happen to them in 30 years. And only 60% thought about the close future, like a month from now. Such an approach makes getting rich virtually impossible because nobody's going to float into being rich. No one is going to just fall onto the top of the mountain. You got to climb that thing. You can't just stare up the steps. You got to step up the stairs. But do you know how hard that's going to be on your legs? Listen, if you aren't dead certain that the journey is going to be worth it, do you know how much easier it is for you to give up? I dare you. Start thinking about the future. I dare you. Start thinking about, what do I want to be? Not just what do I want to have, but what do I want to be? Who do I want to become? Because as you hear me say, all the time, if you're millionaire minded, it ain't about being a human being. It's about being a human becoming. And that leads us to the second one. You right? Here's the second one. You got to shake off society's programming. You got to shake off this. One of my mentors calls it the societal cultural hypnotic mechanism, right? You got to shake off society's opinions. You've heard me say it before. The lack of need for validation is the beginning of all power. Maybe you want to type that in the comments and give me a share. The lack of need for validation is the beginning of all power. Maybe you want to write that down. The lack of need for validation is the beginning of all power. What can you do to shake off society's thoughts, right? You got prerequisites to becoming wealthy, including in that process, they tell you you're going to need a formal education like a PhD or an MBA, right? I got none of that. I don't even have a college degree. They kicked me out of college. Listen, do you know that I'm in company with a lot of the world's wealthiest people, right? I'm not going to say most, I'm going to say a way larger number than you can imagine taught themselves without a college textbook. You hear me? They taught themselves without avenues that have nothing to do with schooling. Jeff Bezos has a degree in electrical engineering. He has a degree in computer science, but he started a bookstore out of his garage. You hear me? You hear me? Amazon started off as a bookstore, and now he's got the world's biggest online retail business, richest man in the world. I guess he teeter-totters at that thing. Check this out. Write this in your comments and give me a share. The lack of the need for validation. The lack of need for validation is the beginning of all power. The lack of need for validation is the beginning of all power. And then give me a share. The lack of need for validation is the beginning of all power. And then share that with somebody that needs to know. Steve Jobs was a college dropout, and he talks all the time, said, he would say it over and over to people that leaving higher education was one of the best decisions he ever made. Now, Steve Jobs was an outlier. And don't you for a second think that dropping out of school or even getting kicked out like me and Chris means that you're automatically on the path to being a millionaire. Nah, ain't how it works. You have to be obsessed with success. If you want to learn more about business or you want to learn more about investing, I'm just saying you ain't got to go to school to do it. We have a whole academy. How many of you know about the Kaizen Academy, where all we do is teach the mindset, the skill set, and the heart set that can take you further, faster, with less effort? But listen, It's kind of wild that I ain't even got a degree, but I got a school. You hear what I'm saying? Maybe college is starting to be a student loan scam. But for you to be able to see that clearly, you have to shake off society's opinions. Here's the third one. You have to adopt an investment lifestyle. You have to adopt an invest. Somebody say it in the comments and give me a share. I am an investor. I am an investor. I am an investor. I need you to understand you are investing. You invested in them shoes you're going to wear today. You invested in that jewelry you putting on. You invested in that car you driving. See, the thing is, am I a smart investor? But I am an investor. The thing is, am I investing in things that are going to guarantee me a return in the form of more finances since I'm investing my finances? See, every time you spend some money, you're investing in something. You're investing in Starbucks. It's just, do you want to buy the stock or the coffee? You're investing in Apple. It's just, are you just into the laptops? Or are you going to go and grab a share or two? Check it out. There's a very small micro percentage of students who are taught to invest, right? As a part of high school or as a part of college. But one thing we certainly shown is how to spend. You hear me? One thing we certainly shown is how to spend. The consumerism lifestyle is almost what makes us American. If there's anything we've given to the rest of the world, it's how to be a consumer. 70% of our gross domestic product every year is consumption. You got to step out the crowd, y'all. You have to adopt an investment lifestyle. If you're going to be relentlessly advancing in this world right here, it's more about the money. There's more to it than just the money you make. What you got to look at is the money you're able to keep. You know, if you can save up to buy a Tesla, you must be rich, right? You must be wealthy. That's a lie. Listen to me. If you want to be financially independent, you got to resist the temptation to spend every dime you get. Oh, Hazik, you don't understand. I'm already late on this bill. I can't invest. I don't have any money to put away. Check this out. If today they made a new law, since y'all don't vote in local elections anyway, you know, they'll pass a law and you won't even notice, right? If today, I took a shot at you. How many of y'all voting early? Throw that in the comments. I'm voting early and then give me a share. I'm voting early and then give me a share. Don't just participate in the big WWF of the presidential elections. That was a wrestling reference. You've got to participate in the local elections because that's the ones that are affecting your life, your local quality of life. Get with it, man. This is where you elect the sheriff. You cry about police brutality. I'm going to get to that later. Here's my point, y'all. They could pass a law today, man, saying that you had to pay 10% more taxes when you go to buy anything from the store. And you know what you do? You would whine and you would cry and then you would pay it. All I'm saying is, why not tax yourself? Huh? That's all we're saying. All we're saying is, why not tax yourself? Millionaires, if you want to be financially independent, you've got to start paying yourself first. You've got to start paying yourself first. Somebody say it in the comments. I want to make sure we clear. I pay myself first and then give me a share. I pay myself first and then give me a share. Somebody write that now. Yeah, I am an investor. I pay myself first. I pay myself first. Yeah. Good. Yeah, tax yourself. That's right. Pay yourself first. Come on, y'all. I pay myself first. I'm not losing this point until y'all grab it with me. I pay myself first and then give me a share. Share this with somebody you're going to discuss this with later today. Like, hey, girl, we got to start putting aside. I need you to hold me accountable. We got to start putting aside 10% of our paycheck every time we get it. Girl, we got to start putting aside 5%. We got to start putting aside 20% of our paycheck whenever we get it. We've got to pay ourselves first before we pay that credit card bill, before we pay that power bill, before we pay that cable bill. We have to start stacking some kind of capital, because if we don't have seed money, how are we ever going to create produce? That's the law of nature. If I don't have anything to plant, How can I get? And this is what's wild. You don't reap what you sow. What you do is you reap tenfold. If I sow a seed, I don't get a seed. If I sow a seed, I get a tree that has fruit on it, that has seeds in each one of these pieces of fruit. You get what I mean? Any fool can count how many seeds is in an apple. You got to ask yourself, can I see how many apples are going to be in this seed? On average, the stock market is going to give you about a 10% return year after year, right? You can start with $500. You hear me? You can start with $1,000. You can say, I'm just going to contribute $100 a week. You can say, I'm just going to contribute $500 a month. I'm just going to do $1,000 a month. I'm going to work my home-based business and take all that money and just dump it into the some kind of trade or stock. I'm going to grab an ETF, so I'm not getting killed by broker fees, right? You got to make it a priority. I am not here to give you financial advice. I am not here to give you the answer, but I damn sure know this is the question. How can I start paying myself first? Somebody type that in the comments if you're riding with me on that one. And then share it with somebody that you're going to have hold you accountable. No. We're going to put it in question form so that your infinite mind can start working. Type it out. How can I start paying myself first? Or if you want to get more fly, how much can I afford to pay myself out of every paycheck? I dare you ask yourself. I dare you ask yourself that. If instead of buying the McDonald's, instead of our parents buying us McDonald's because they loved us, imagine if they would have bought us McDonald's stock. All right, here's number 4. Write down your ideas. Write down your ideas. You have no idea how many ideas you get every day that could change your life. Somebody put this in the comments if this feels good to you. I dare you start keeping a list of things that irritate you. Oh, you don't like how the daycare center does their sign in this way. Oh, you hate how every time you go to the store, this and this is. Oh, you don't like this smell when you walk outside your apartment. Whatever irritates you, I dare you keep a list of it. Because you know what you're thinking of? You're thinking of business ideas. Woo! The most negative person you know is thinking of business ideas all day. It's just that they call them complaints. Write down your ideas. Hopefully you have a notebook and you keep pace with us every day. I dare you flip through that thing and look at your notes. I'm gonna talk about that on my TED Talk this weekend. Like there is a power in the fact that a short pencil is better than the longest memory. You want to carry it everywhere while you're sitting on the bus, while you're having lunch. Okay, wherever and whenever an idea strikes you, jot that thing down. Right? Grab that little notebook, grab your pen, because if you decide to do it later, that's the same thing as saying I'm gonna forget. You're definitely gonna forget it. So what I'm saying is, after you gather all these ideas, after you gather all of these thoughts, since we've decided that we're going to be financially free, right? You start asking yourself, man, how could I make some money applying this idea? Maybe one of them is a side hustle you can start. Maybe you just thought of doing an online tutoring thing, right? Or maybe you just decided, dang, you know what? I'm gonna learn graphic design because I've been playing with it a little bit, but I'm kind of good. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take me a course on this. I think I'm gonna, right? Maybe I'm going to write more. Maybe I'm going to do photography since we're in such a social media world, right? Average side job. Now you got an extra $500,000 a month, $2,000 a month. And what do you get to do with that? You already been surviving off the money you make from your job. So now maybe you invest that. Maybe that's what you use to start a business system. That's what I love about, home-based businesses in the form of direct sales. I love direct sales because at any point I get to start my own pyramid where I'm at the top and I get to build as far down as I want. I mean, good grief. Now I'm not in business by myself, even though I might be in business for myself and my family. You know what I mean? Here's the fifth one I got for you. You got to start seeing big numbers as possible. Right? $1 million sounds huge, but keep it real. That's only $1,000 times 1,000 people. If you're a member of the Kaizen Academy, we have a whole course breaking down big numbers into these small, manageable pieces, right? Even when you're on the basic plan, you get to take that revenue acceleration course. It's like a 4-part course that people have told me gave them more than their MBA program. People just don't understand business as it exists circa, this year that we're in. But if you think 500 million a lot, and you think $1 million is a lot, you all jacked up. I mean, dang, man, one of them numbers got to be small to you. And I dare say, if you start thinking of it like all I have to do is sell something that costs $500 to 2,000 people, and that's $1 million, that starts to get more achievable, doesn't it? Or if I have something that I make $2,000 off and I can sell 500 of them, listen, a car salesman could probably do that in a year with the right marketing system. Am I right? All I'm saying is you got to regard these numbers as achievable, because most of the roadblocks that you feel are in front of you are really in your mind. It's time to be millionaire minded. And believe me, once you break through some of these invisible ceilings and you can look in that account and see 100,000, 200,000 stops looking so big. 500,000 starts looking so big. These are invisible ceilings. These are self-limiting beliefs that have been programmed into you. But never forget, there are 2 forms of communication. One is influence. That's when you're communicating with the outside world. But the other one's programming. That's how you communicate with yourself. And if you keep telling yourself that these numbers are big, then all of a sudden, you're going to feel okay giving up. Millionaires, most of the world's wealthiest people, they don't credit stuff like a set of skills, right? Some kind of mechanics to how they became self-made. If you study the world's wealthiest people, most of them are going to tell you it had mostly, and I mean mostly, 80% to do with the values that they chose to focus on. 80% was the mindset that they chose to use. Millionaires, there is a way of becoming rich while you're doing what you love. That's why we always say either you got to expand your mind to match your goals, or your goals will just start to shrink to match your mind. It's affirmation time, y'all. We got 5 minutes before we get this thing cracking. I hope this was helpful to you. I love y'all. Hey, repeat after me. Say it like you mean it. And if T-Mobile tries to charge you, whatever phone company you with, just text call me to 667-776-4961. Again, that's 667-776-9461. It spells out win one. 667-776-win1. All right, repeat after me.